Hello everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar on our new allocation workspace. My name is Rakel Rúnarsdóttir. I've been working for AGR Dynamics for almost 2 years now. I'm a part of the NPL team, which stands for New Product Launch, where we work on innovation and development within AGR in collaboration with our development team. We also work closely with our consultant team, since they are usually in most contact with our customer base and therefore are in the best position to see the demand from the market. I have a background in engineering, and before I joined AGR, I was working for the UK fashion retailer Peacocks in merchandising. After moving back to Iceland, I came in contact with AGR and learned about all their development in merchandising solutions for retailers, and was very enthusiastic to join them. So I came in with my hands-on experience from the industry and have been working with them on development, sales, project management, and more. We have been developing our allocation module over the last few months. Many of our customers already use our system to help with their allocation processes, as we have customized allocation workspaces for many of them in the past. But until now, we have not had a standard allocation workspace. We saw a need in the market for an interface that gives users a good overview over their allocation processes, as well as more control over the allocation without making these processes too manual. There are many factors that can affect decision-making when allocating, and we know that the processes of allocating products can be time and resource-consuming. So with the AGR allocation workspace, these processes can become more automated. Before we continue, I would like to point out the Q&A button on your Teams bar, where you can ask questions you might have while we go through this webinar. And my colleagues that are with me today, Helena Ólafsdóttir and Agnes Jóhannsdóttir, will answer your questions. Due to global increased usage with Microsoft Teams, users may experience issues sending in questions via the Q&A sidebar. If this happens to you, please just send us an email with your questions. You should see the email address in the Q&A sidebar. Allocation is the initial process of distributing products upon delivery from suppliers out to stores. We then have a predefined quantity that we need to allocate, and our system proposes how to allocate your products based on where they are most likely to sell. We can also use this allocation method for products that are already in the DC that you want to push out to stores. And here on the right, we have a few reasons we might want to do that. Let's say you are starting a promotion and want to get products out to stores. Your DC is full and you need to free up some space. Some products are in high demand at the moment, like we have seen with toilet paper over the last few weeks. If you have a stock of these products, AGR can help to allocate them to the right locations. This can also be used for seasonal products, such as Christmas or Easter products. These are products that have a short selling period, so you would not want to keep them in the DC, but get them out to stores as soon as possible. Also with products with a short lifetime, perishable products like fruits and berries, these are products that need to go to stores as soon as they are in. When we have new products without any sales history, it's hard to know how to allocate these products. AGR will calculate an allocation proposal based on the sales of other products within the same product group. We then look at how they have sold in every store and base our allocation proposal on that. The method we use to calculate the allocation proposal is that we calculate the location sales mix. That is how we divide our products between stores based on where they are most likely to sell. We use statistical and manual forecast that looks at sales for each product or product group down to each location. So seasonal and other deviations in sales are taken into account. For example, a grocery store located in a summer vacation area has high sales of fruits during summer. It therefore has a high location sales mix during the summer period for fruits, but over the rest of the year, the location sales mix for fruits will be lower. Let's now have a look at the allocation workspace in our system, and let me remind you to send in questions if you have any. Our allocation workspace is a part of our inventory module. The inventory module manages ordering and replenishment and other day-to-day tasks, and the allocation workspace is the newest addition to it. The allocation workspace consists of the 6 views that we see here in the drop-down list and are also open here at the top. What we see here is an overview of all incoming purchase orders. Here we have the purchase order number, the quantity, and the expected arrival date to the warehouse. On the left here, we have the allocation status. And the allocation status tells you the status of the PO and helps to make decisions on when you calculate an allocation proposal for the orders. For example, a few days before they arrive in the warehouse, so they can go straight out to stores upon arrival and don't have to stop at the warehouse and take up space there. This is what we often call cross-docking. It is possible to have item overview instead of PO overview to have a list of incoming items regardless of which PO they belong to. The same item might be coming in 2 different POs, and you would most likely want to allocate this item in one allocation process. If we then select one PO, we can have a better look at what is in this PO. Here we can see what products are in the purchase order that we selected. Here at the top, we can see the purchase order number that we just selected, and here as well. So in this PO, we have 4 items, and here we can see the item number as well as the item name and the product group that they belong to. Here we can see the quantity for each item in this PO. These 2 columns here, holdback percentage and minimum allocation quantity, are default parameters that are set down to product group level, but can be amended down to product in each order. Holdback percentage means how much will be held back in DC for replenishment and to prevent overstocking stores. Here, in this example, we have a default holdback of 30% for this product group. For example, with perishable products, the holdback percentage would most likely be 0%, since it is hard to keep those kind of products in DC, and therefore you would want to send them all out to stores as soon as they get delivered. Let's say that this product here has a default holdback of 30%. Let's say it is in high demand at the moment, or the supplier under-delivered. You then might want to manually take it down to 0% and send all 250 units out straight away. The minimum allocation quantity is the minimum quantity each store should receive. This is to prevent that some stores don't get 1 or 2 units of a product, but enough to fill up a shelf space, for example. We have 2 allocation methods in AGR. Allocation based on product group sale and allocation based on item sale. Let's say we have a new item with no sales history. it's obvious that we don't have any information on how to allocate that product. We could then calculate the allocation proposal based on the sales of the product group that the product belongs to. If, however, we have an item that has a good sales history, we might choose to use the item allocation method. We then have an option to include stock in stores and undelivered. Here we see that we have two products that are not new. Their first sale date was in October 2014, and we can see that they are currently being sold in 7 and 5 stores out of 22 stores that should have these products. In this example, I would still use the product group allocation method as the system proposes, as it looks like their sales history isn't sufficient to use the item allocation. After reviewing the PO, all products or some products can be selected to be allocated. Let's select one product line here. And what the system does is that it calculates the allocation proposal and generates an allocation number. And this line is no longer editable, as you can see here. So if we select the allocation number, we can see the allocation proposal. So what we have here is, here we can see how the system has split the quantity between locations by using location sales mix. So on the left here, we have the purchase order number that we've been looking at and the allocation number. This is the item that we selected, the tailored suit blazer, and the quantity in the PO was 200 units. We had a holdback percentage of 30%, which means 60 units will be held back in TC for replenishment. So 140 units are being split between our stores that we have listed here. In these two columns, calculated allocation quantity and final allocation quantity, we can see how the system has split the 140 units between our stores. Allocated quantity can be amended by the user in the green column, and you will have the original units for comparison in the left column. When the allocation proposal is calculated, minimum quantity and order multiple is taken into account. 4 was the minimum quantity for this product, and therefore no store gets less than 4 units. But let's say you have 10 pieces in a box, so you would set the order multiple for that product to 10. So the allocation would then be set to increments of 10. If the allocation proposal is amended, it will increase or decrease the holdback quantity, these 60 units here. That is, it will take units from the holdback, but not from other stores. Let's say there's a festival happening on the weekend in Brighton, and you want to increase the units they are getting. So let's say we will increase these by 20, take it up to 24. So you can see that the holdback quantity went from 60 to 40. So as I say, it's not taking units from other stores, but from the holdback. And to the right here, you can see the variance to the calculated quantity. So we've increased these by 600%. So after reviewing the allocation proposal and amending if required, it can be confirmed, which will then transfer the allocation to the ERP system. So So let's confirm this. And now we are unable to change anything. And we can see confirmed allocation in here. So this bottom one is the one we just confirmed. Under settings is where you set the default parameters for holdback percentage and minimum allocation quantity. If you have this information stored in your ERP system or elsewhere, we can of course read them over. The last view I want to show you today is this that we call the forecast view. What we have here is an overview of the forecast for each store, for each product group. This is a combination of the statistical forecast that is calculated by the system, as well as any manual changes you might have done to the forecast. When the system calculates the location sales mix, that is, how the system splits quantities between locations, the user cannot affect those calculations. However, as I explained earlier, the location sales mix is based on this forecast that we see here. So if the user wants to be able to affect the split between stores, he can amend the forecast here, which will result in different location sales mix. Let's say you're about to increase the size of the bottoms department in your Birmingham store. Here at the top, we can see a drop down for our stores. So we're now looking at the Birmingham store for the bottoms department. You want to make this department bigger. You want to increase the availability and aim for higher sales. It will take a few weeks for the system to catch up on increases in sales due to your changes and therefore send more products. So you can manually amend the forecast for the upcoming weeks and therefore increase Birmingham's share for bottoms when allocated. This can be done as simple as this. This is just a simple example on how you can affect the allocation calculations. The forecast view can be customized to each customer needs. As I say, here we have the locations and the product group in the dropdown, and we're looking at this on weekly level. The amendments can be done on many hierarchy levels and on monthly, weekly, or daily levels. Before we finish this, I want to quickly summarize what I've gone through in this webinar. We have been looking at our new allocation workspace, which can be used both for products that are being delivered from suppliers and to the warehouse, as well as products that are already in the warehouse and you want to push out to stores. The user has an overview of the orders that are coming into the warehouse and can start the allocation process whenever required. After the user has reviewed few parameters, AGR will calculate an allocation proposal that is based on the location sales mix. The user then has the option to manually review and amend it before confirming, or confirm without reviewing, and the allocation can then take place. We also saw how the user is able to affect the allocation to stores or the location sales mix by amending the forecast. Thank you for attending this webinar, and I hope this has been useful to you. Please keep on asking questions. We will keep the event live for a few more minutes. You can also email any questions or comments you might have to me personally, or contact your AGR consultant. Thank you.